At some point in this young millennium, amid a tiresome cycle of championships and scandals, supporters of the Patriots evolved into an insufferable species. And in the absence of rivals on the field, they have an unlikely peer on the smugness spectrum: Yankees fans. Imagine that. Patriots fans, many of whom also root for the Red Sox, becoming just as entitled as their hated counterparts. But in the lead-up to yet another Super Bowl appearance, the 8th in the 17 years since Tom Brady took over as the starting quarterback of coach Bill Belichick's team, that arrogance was indeed on display in the busy sports intersection that is Connecticut. Here you can find these creatures in their natural habitat, flocking to sports bars in Brady jerseys and flooding the airwaves of sports radio stations with conspiracy theories about the persecution of their studly signal caller and his surly coach. They abide by a rallying cry of, "They hate us because they ain't us, so are the hunters really the hunted?" Tom Brady, Bill Belichick and the Patriots can win their 6th Super Bowl on Sunday. They beat the Atlanta Falcons in stunning fashion to win their 5th Lombardi Trophy last year. Timothy A. Cleary, AFP, Getty Images. Eric Simons, author of The Secret Lives of Sports Fans, The Science of Sports Obsession, refers to the phenomenon of frontrunners embracing victimhood as probably the dominant psychological contortion in contemporary American culture. It transcends understanding the mentality of sports fans. Simon's research can be applied to larger issues such as climate change, politics, and even warfare. It's about how you perceive things, and with bias, said Simons, a San Francisco-based nature journalist who has also written a book on Charles Darwin. It's not just winners are losers, or Patriots fans are Yankees fans. It's all people. And we're not particularly good at accurately assessing reality. Watching sports is a highly immersive experience, particularly for men, Simons said. And once someone identifies with a certain team and its collection of fans, and in group, as it's known in psychological studies, it becomes easier to rationalize alleged misdeeds and defend them at all costs against an outgroup. They get away with murder, said Courtney Watts, a Texans fan from Waterbury, pointing to a disparity in penalties that swung the AFC title game in the Patriots' favor. Their fans think they're invincible, except for when they play the Giants. I grew up here. Yankees fans are spoiled. Red Sox fans are now spoiled. Patriots fans are spoiled. Radio host and former MLB pitcher Rob Dibble said. Former Major League relief pitcher Rob Dibble, a Southington native who hosts a show on ESPN 97.9 FM, "I will say it because I feel like I have the right to say it. I grew up here. Yankees fans are spoiled. Red Sox fans are now spoiled. Patriots fans are spoiled." The dynastic Yankees of the late 20th century inspired similar contempt with their own extended period of buttoned-up brilliance. Emmy fan bases cry foul for different reasons. The Yanks outspent their foes into submission while the Pats have a penchant for skirting obscure rules, but the juggernaut franchises are undeniably alike in one regard: the Yankees won with the corporate efficiency, and that's interestingly enough the way the Patriots are described, said Rich Hanley, an associate professor of journalism at Quinnipiac University who teaches a course on the history of football. It's this methodology that maximizes gains and minimizes losses. There's a coldness to that approach. There's no fuzzy feeling. In Hanley's lecture hall, a microcosm of pro-patriot and anti-patriot feelings, spirited debates among students almost always end the same way. A Patriots fan invokes the team's title tally, 5 in the Brady-Belichick era, with a chance to match the NFL record, held by the Pittsburgh Steelers, if they can beat the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday, and fans of the Jets and Giants are silenced. A Yankees fan can also squash all comers with a mere mention of the team's ring count, 27, but there's much more than math at play here. It's an us against the world mentality for Patriots fans despite 2 decades of brilliance on the field. Stephen Sen, app. The myth of the 1970s-90s Yankees is that owner George Steinbrenner bought championships by lavishing massive contracts on superstar free agents. On the contrary, the teams managed by Joe Torre and captained by shortstop Derek Jeter that won World Series titles in 1996, 1998, 1999 and 2000 mostly did so with a core of homegrown talent and a handful of complementary acquisitions. But that's not as fun for detractors to recite. Of course, the era in Yankees history ushered in by the arrival of brash slugger Reggie Jackson in 1977 is a bit of an outlier. Beloved in the Bronx but hated just about everywhere else, the team cemented itself in pop culture lore by winning back-to-back titles despite almost daily infighting. The Patriots, unlike more recent iterations of the Yankees, don't put restrictions on facial hair, but they do stifle self-expression. And it's their adherence to the disciplined example set by Belichick, who followed the coaching blueprint of his father Steve, a longtime assistant at the U.S. Naval Academy, that has prevented them from achieving a widespread following. According to Hanley, the Patriots have defied that sort of national success and have retained an extraordinary fan base only in their neighborhood, in part because they're so good and they don't have the personalities that some of these other teams had, Hanley said. These other dynasties had nicknames. The Doomsday Defense, the Steel Curtain. The Patriots just win. It's how they win that invites scorn or, as their fans see it, jealousy. The Brady-Belichick dynasty has been dogged by more tangible villainy than the Yankees. First there was Spygate, a soap opera stemming from the team's illegal videotaping of the Jets' defensive signals in 2007. And then there was 2015's Deflategate, a melodrama that saw Pats fans grasping for a scientific explanation for the football tampering scheme that warranted a suspension for the previously spotless Brady. It seemed like everyone with a Patriot fan card became a junior Bill Nye the Science Guy, said CBS Sports Radio's Paul Nanos, who hosted a show in Hartford for 4 years. Whether or not these transgressions taint the Pats' legacy depends on whom you ask. The players won't talk, other than to wear sweatshirts this postseason emblazoned with New England versus everybody, so the fans, the vicarious guardians, do it for them. A member of the sports media who offers even a scintilla of criticism is pummeled with profane Twitter replies. We have a natural fondness for our own tribe and a natural distrust for those from the other, said David Atkin, a professor of communication at UConn who specializes in a trend he calls the coarsening of our discourse across all media. We're a little more untethered on Twitter. And you can set up an account and be anonymous and it's easier just to let it rip. As a sports reporter at the Seattle Post-Intelligencer, Molly Yanati saw firsthand how quickly success can puff up egos and magnify the fans of a once middling franchise. The Seattle Seahawks have been to 3 Super Bowls since 2006, winning in 2014 and narrowly missing out on a repeat in 2015 when New England's Malcolm Butler, an undrafted rookie cornerback, preserved the Patriots' 4th title with a stunning goal line interception in the final minute. Seattle fans have adopted the nickname of the 12s, asserting that their boisterous presence in the stands somehow provides a one-man advantage. Once the Seahawks started winning, that place redefined fanatic. I'd never seen anything like it, said Yanati, now an assistant professor of journalism at Quinnipiac. When a team's winning, the fans become emboldened. Late Yankees owner George Steinbrenner had a reputation for outspending the competition, but his teams won championships with a core of homegrown stars. Yankees fans are among the most entitled in sports. Paul J. Bereswell, MCT, Barstool Banter in sports bars. There are no barriers for the hostility that compels a caller to vent to a host or a Twitter user to anonymously spew venom. Frank Scotto, general manager of Sliders Grill. From our perspective it's great for business because you can sit next to your buddy and you could argue and have a beer. And some areas of the country just don't have that. Thursday night at Sliders in Southington was the calm before the storm. A packed house is expected for Super Sunday, but most of the TVs were tuned into the latest UConn women's blowout. The Patriots' takes, however, were ready for kickoff. John Russo, a Green Bay Packers fan from Kensington, was asked if there's an outcome Sunday that would be easiest to stomach. I'm rooting for an asteroid, he said. I'm bitter about what the Patriots did to Hartford and I'm just not an Eagles fan.